In the last very important days of World War II, the future of countries was uncertain as a unique and frightening part of human history was about to happen. What some people might not know is that the first atomic bomb wasn't aimed at Hiroshima because it was strategically important for the military. Instead, it was picked because it had special cultural and historical importance. Hiroshima was more than just a military target. It held secrets from Japan's rich history. Welcome to another episode of Purple Credence. The atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945 marked a turning point in world history. These events, which occurred towards the end of World War II, involved the United States dropping atomic bombs on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima on August 6th and Nagasaki on August 9th. The bombings had far-reaching consequences, both immediate and long-term, and continue to be the subject of intense historical debate. President Harry S. Truman, who had taken office after the death of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, faced a critical decision regarding the end of the war with Japan. The Japanese government had shown no signs of surrender, and the conflict in the Pacific was taking a heavy toll on both sides. The alternative to using atomic bombs was a full-scale invasion of Japan, which was expected to result in massive casualties on both sides. In this context, Truman authorized the use of atomic bombs in the hope that the devastating power of these weapons would force Japan to surrender, bringing a swift end to the war and avoiding the need for a costly invasion. On August 6, 1945, the first atomic bomb, codenamed Little Boy, was dropped on Hiroshima, instantly killing an estimated 70,000 people and causing widespread destruction. 3 days later, on August 9th, the second bomb, codenamed Fat Man, was dropped on Nagasaki, resulting in approximately 40,000 immediate deaths. The aftermath of the bombings was catastrophic, with survivors suffering from acute radiation sickness, burns, and other severe injuries. The long-term effects of radiation exposure continued to plague the survivors for years, leading to an increased risk of cancer and other health issues. Impact on Japanese surrender. The use of atomic bombs had a profound impact on Japan's leadership. The devastation wrought by the bombings and the fear of further nuclear attacks prompted Emperor Hirohito to announce Japan's unconditional surrender on August 15, 1945. This announcement marked the official end of World War II. While the bombings are often credited with hastening the end of the war, they remain highly controversial. Critics argue that the use of atomic bombs was unnecessary and morally indefensible. They contend that Japan was already on the verge of surrender, and the bombings were intended more to demonstrate the United States' military superiority to the Soviet Union than to secure Japan's surrender. Additionally, the high civilian casualty toll, including the deaths of many non-combatants, raises ethical questions about the bombings. The long-term health effects on survivors and subsequent generations further contribute to the ongoing debate over the morality of using such devastating weapons. The Soviet Union was well informed about the Manhattan Project and the development of the atomic bomb. Soviet spies had infiltrated the project, providing the Soviet government with crucial information. By the time of the bombings, the Soviets were aware of the capabilities of the atomic bomb. Originally, the city of Kokura was the intended target for the second atomic bombing. However, due to poor visibility on the day of the mission, the plane carrying the bomb, Bockscar, diverted to its secondary target, Nagasaki. This change in plans altered the course of history for both cities. The city of Hiroshima was not randomly chosen as the first target. It held strategic significance as a military command and communications center, and it was also the headquarters of the 2nd General Army, which was responsible for the defense of southern Japan. This military importance influenced its selection as a bombing target. Tsutomu Yamaguchi is the only person officially recognized by the Japanese government as having survived both atomic bombings. He was in Hiroshima on a business trip when the first bomb fell, and he managed to return to his home in Nagasaki just in time for the second bombing. In the aftermath of World War II, the Japanese government implemented strict censorship regarding the bombings. Any discussion or publication of information about the effects of radiation and the experiences of survivors was suppressed, both domestically and internationally, until the occupation forces lifted these restrictions in 1949. In the years following the bombings, both the United States and the Soviet Union conducted studies on the effects of radiation exposure. These studies often involved human subjects, including some unknowingly exposed to radiation, raising ethical concerns about the treatment of individuals who became involuntary participants in scientific research. President Harry S. Truman, who authorized the bombings, was reportedly not fully aware of the destructive power of the atomic bombs until after they were dropped. He had not been briefed in detail about the Manhattan Project's progress and was informed about the successful test of the first bomb, codenamed Trinity, shortly before the Potsdam Conference. In the aftermath of the bombings, survivors, known as hibakusha, faced discrimination and social stigma in Japan. The fear of radiation sickness and a lack of understanding about its transmission led to societal ostracism of those who had endured the atomic bombings. The bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki were not formally classified as war crimes during the Nuremberg trials. Some legal scholars and critics, however, have argued that the deliberate targeting of civilian populations constitutes a war crime under international law. Nagasaki's hilly terrain played a role in reducing the overall damage caused by the second atomic bombing. The hills acted as a natural barrier, shielding certain areas from the full impact of the blast and contributing to the uneven distribution of destruction in the city. The atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki had a lasting impact on the world, shaping international relations and fueling the arms race during the Cold War. The events prompted global efforts to control the proliferation of nuclear weapons, culminating in the establishment of the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, NPT, in 1968. The bombings also serve as a cautionary tale about the devastating consequences of nuclear warfare. The ethical considerations surrounding the use of such powerful weapons continue to be a topic of discussion, emphasizing the need for diplomatic solutions and international cooperation to prevent the use of nuclear weapons in the future. The atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki remain a complex and contentious chapter in history. While they played a pivotal role in ending World War II, the ethical and moral questions surrounding their use continue to spark debate. The legacy of these bombings serves as a reminder of the destructive power of nuclear weapons and underscores the importance of diplomatic efforts to prevent their use in contemporary conflicts.